Okay, so I don't normally do stuff like this. I don't really like kind of putting things out there. I typically am a very more like upbeat type person. I like, being positive. I try to be optimistic. I try to look at the world, the glass half full kind of person. Um, I definitely am one of those people who tends to look at things from a lot of different perspectives as opposed to seeing things from, the negative Nelly perspective or whatever. But I have been challenged recently in our community here in YWAM, our missionary community here, has been challenged to not only to, share successes and to share, the good things that are happening, but also be vulnerable and be willing to be vulnerable and real and raw. And so, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, what I'm coming to you guys with right now. I am not sharing this as like a pity party or as a, you know, guilt tripping anybody or anything. I'm just trying to be real and raw and process emotions and kind of things that I'm feeling and things that I'm thinking and struggles that I'm having. And again, I'm just trying to be real and vulnerable with you guys. The world that we live in today with social media and with, all of these things being kind of in our faces all the time, and things that go out on the, internet is there to stay. And, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so we all try to put forth the best face possible, right? Like, some of my followers on Instagram are fellow teachers, and one thing that's been kind of going around in the teacher world recently on Instagram is this idea that not everybody's classroom is a Pinterest classroom, and just because your classroom is not perfect doesn't mean that you are not a good teacher. Our lives are not perfect. Everything that we put on Instagram, everything that we put on Twitter, everything that we put on Facebook, everything we put on Snapchat, all of that stuff is made to appear as if our lives are perfect. But reality is we're not. We're human, right? We all struggle. We all have failures. We all have successes. But we all are just trying to get through this thing called life, right? The best that we possibly can. And sometimes that looks like a mess, and sometimes it looks like an amazing, wonderful, successful story. And that's okay because it's all part of the journey. For those of you who may not know me personally, many of my followers on Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter and all of that stuff, many of them are people that I know, personally, either through YWAM, through church, through my, the university that I went to, or through the, various schools or whatever. And then some people I just know through Facebook or through social media because we've connected in some way, whether it be we're fellow teachers, we have, fellow, we're camaraderies, we're colleagues in some form or fashion, or maybe I just stalk you on social media and you followed me back or whatever. I don't know. I don't know who's watching this, but I feel like that I need to kind of get this stuff kind of off of my chest and process. I'm a verbal processor, but I'm also an internal processor. Excuse me. And I've been internally processing this for a while, and I feel like I just need to get it out as well. But I feel like, again, that I need to just be vulnerable with you guys. And so for those who may not know me personally or may not know kind of my full story, I am a full-time missionary with Youth with a Mission. Youth with a Mission is an international, interdenominational missions organization. We have locations all over the world. Excuse me. I currently serve with our YWAM San Diego Baja base. We call them bases. And I currently serve at our campus in Mexico. So we have offices in San Diego, and then we have operating locations in Tijuana, Mexico, and Ensenada, Mexico. And I serve currently on our Tijuana campus. I have been a missionary, full-time missionary, living in Mexico away from my family for the past almost 12 years. In September this year, it will be 12 years. And for the last 5 of those years, I have lived here in our Tijuana campus, and I've served in a teaching capacity, in an educational capacity. Before that, I was helping lead short-term missions trips for junior high and high school students. But now I'm kind of in that educational piece. So I kind of took a childcare / daycare type situation that we had on our campus, and I made it into a preschool, a full running preschool. And I've done that for the past 4.5 years. And then in January this year, I fully kind of released that directoralship over to someone else, and I'm now focusing on starting a K-12 school. So there's a lot of things that kind of go with all of these, different things that I'm doing. But the reality is I've been here for 12 years. I've been on the mission field for 12 years. And while I have been able to go home, and I go home and visit family and all of that, it is typically once a year. For the past 8 or 9 years, my trips home have been either at Thanksgiving for a week or at Christmas for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And during that time, it's amazing because I get to spend so much time with my family, but it's been really, really difficult to connect with people, friends and supporters and people who, I've known my entire life. It's been really, really hard to do that while I've been home. Now, not only am I missing out on a lot of the relational aspect of that, as a full-time missionary, even though I'm a teacher and even though I am serving here, I do not receive a traditional paycheck. I am a support-based missionary, meaning that all of the money that I get comes from the generous donations of friends and family, and sometimes perfect strangers. I've received random donations from perfect strangers before, and I know that came at the exact moment that I needed it, and it was the exact amount that I needed to fulfill some need that I had at the time. And in the last 12 years, God has blown my socks off with his faithfulness with finances for me. Anything that I've ever needed, God has had. He's taken care of things before I ever needed them, before I even knew that I needed them. I remember one time I had gotten holes in my last pair of blue jeans, and I knew that I was going to need to purchase some more, but I also knew what my monthly support looked like, and I knew that I didn't have the money to be able to buy a new pair of jeans. And so I mentally calculated my expenses for that month. And at the time I was living in San Diego, and when we were living in San Diego, we had to take care of all of our own food. So I did, the regular adult thing, right? So go to the grocery store, make your own food. So in my head, I calculated, okay, what can I spend on, what do I need to set aside for jeans, and what can I spend on food this month, and what can I survive on for food this month? And in doing that, I decided, okay, well, I will just get like tuna fish and pasta or whatever, and, be fine for the month, and I'll get a pair of jeans. And I remember that a couple of days later, when I opened up my support check that month, I had an extra $500 in that support check from just not expected whatsoever. And when I opened it and I saw that amount, I heard God speak to me and say, Cheryl, I've got you. I've already met your need before you even knew you had it. Stop trying to fix it. Stop trying to worry about it. Stop trying to make ends meet, because I've got you. I have you in the palm of my hand. I've never left you. I've never let you go. I've never let you fail. And so there are countless stories like that, right? That God has provided things for me above and beyond what I could ever imagine. And so it's been really hard, though, not making those connections with people, because as I'm here longer, and this is becoming my life. When I first moved here 12 years ago, this wasn't like, oh, I'm moving to Mexico forever. It was, I'm moving to Mexico for 6 months for a school, a discipleship training school, or a DTS is what we call them. And I knew that I was going to be here for a little, like, longer than that first 6 months. I knew that when I moved here. It was something that God clearly spoke to me. But I was not expecting 12 years later to still be here. And God has opened so many doors, and he's done such amazing things. And I've been amazed to be a part of something great and mighty. I have seen healings happen. I have seen and been a part of amazing, incredible things, like building a house for a family and handing over keys to a house for them to raise their children in, without having to pay for it. Like, nothing. Here's your keys. Here's a house for free, simply because God loves you. And we do that every single weekend. And so my birthday is coming up in about a month, and a little over a month. And I will be turning 40 this year. And 40 is, this big, huge milestone, right? And I remember celebrating my mom's 40th birthday, and it was an over-the-hill birthday party, and, all of that stuff. And it's this huge milestone, and there are certain aspects of my life that I don't see myself having success in, if I measure success by, certain things, right? When I was younger, I thought by the age of 40, I would be at a certain place in my life and with certain things in my life. And that's not where I'm at. And it's okay, because I'm in a much better place, because it was where God wanted me to be. It wasn't my plan, it was God's plan. And I'm in this amazing place for that. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I love where I'm at and what I do, and the kids that I get to teach. Seeing kids who in October hated math and would take an entire week to do a page of math is now coming in and showing me that he's done 5 or 6 pages more simply because he loves math and wanted to do it. Calling himself a math genius, that is worth, all the sacrifices that I have to make. And there are sacrifices. Living in a foreign country and living off of very small amount of money, and not knowing exactly where all of your stuff is coming from, or where your support is going to be there, if you're going to have any. Not knowing if you're going to be able to pay bills, because you don't know if somebody has forgotten to send you a support check, or not even having committed monthly supporters. And again, this is not like to say, oh, poor pitiful me, and this is not to guilt trip anybody into anything, because it is not about me at all. This is just me being vulnerable and me sharing with you what's on my heart and on my head, right? One of the things that I've been struggling with here recently, though, is last year on May 12th, on my birthday, which is May 12th, I made an announcement. And one of the things that I felt like God wanted me to do was, for my 40th birthday, instead of focusing on me and this, milestone and what I have and what I don't have and all of that stuff, that I felt like God was asking me to build a house for a family. as a birthday present to myself and to them, right? So I got on my Facebook page and I did a live video and I said, hey, this is what I feel like God's telling me to do. I feel like God is asking me to celebrate my 40th birthday by building a house for a family. And I would love for everybody to come and visit and everybody to come and celebrate that with me. And I got great response. Everybody was so excited. Everybody loved it. Everybody thought, like, that's a great idea. And, we're right there with you. So I set the dates for June the 11th through the 18th with opportunity to come for the whole week or to come for just the house build, which is the 15th through the 18th. Because we build a house on the weekends, right? It's like 2 days house build. And so I had lots of people, responding to that Facebook live video, and everybody was all for it, gung-ho, like, yeah, let's do it. I gave everybody over a year to raise money because I understand it costs a lot of money. When I fly home, it can be $600 or $700 round trip for me to fly home. And I get that. I don't have that kind of money. I barely have enough to make, ends meet every month. Like, I get it. But so I understand it's a lot of money. And then, the food and housing and all of that's another $500 or $650 if you're coming for the whole week. I get it. And if you don't have a passport, that's another $100, right? So I understand. We're talking, $1,000+ just to come for the week or for the weekend, right? $1,000 to $1,500. I get it. So I tried to give everybody over a year to raise that money, to set aside a little bit here and there, because I know nobody has $1,500 just laying around to, sign off and write a check or whatever. Like, I get it. So my thought was give everybody enough time that they can set money aside every single month, right? Well, I don't know if it is not enough time or if people's lives have happened or whatever, like, whatever. It's fine. But I've had one family sign up to come and build with me. One. And they aren't even sure if it's going to work out for them to come because of finances. And I get it. I totally get it. But at the same time, in the 12 years that I've been here, I have had, in 12 years, I have had family members come. One family member has come twice, and 2 family members have come once. And then I've had a couple from my church has come twice, and another person from my church has come one other time. And I'm going to be real. One of my family members, I paid for their way to come here. The 3 people, the couple and the other gentleman from my church, I paid their way to get here. I flew them out as speakers for our organization. And that's it. I've asked people to come. I've invited people. I have talked with pastors. I've talked with people in our church, people that I grew up with, about coming and visiting. And I get it. It's really expensive. I get it. But at the same time, it really hurts that I'm always the one that's having to sacrifice. I'm always the one that's having to take the steps. I'm always the one who is having to make the plans. I'm the one that's having to try to convince people to come visit me. And that doesn't feel good. Why do I have to make the sacrifice all the time? If the things that go through my head are, if people really liked you, they would come. If people really loved you, it wouldn't be a struggle. It wouldn't be a sacrifice for them. They would want to be there. They would want to come. They would want to jump on a plane and do everything that they could to be there. But that's not what it is. And that's not what I feel. And that's, again, that's not the intention of people. And I know that. I get that. But one day, I just want to be important enough for people to make a sacrifice for me. I want people to drop things for me. And I know that sounds really selfish, and it is. It's selfish. But I think that I am entitled to be selfish sometimes. I think everybody's entitled to be selfish sometimes. Living on the mission field can be very lonely. Even though I'm surrounded by 150 people all the time. I'm not a traditional missionary in that I'm doing everything by myself. I'm surrounded by people who are amazing and are loving and sacrifice and give of themselves daily. And it's not a sacrifice for them because they feel passionate about what they're doing. And what I'm doing, it's not a sacrifice because I love it. The things that I get to do every single day, I love because it is who God created me to be. But sometimes I wish that others would sacrifice for me. And I know that I can't be the only person thinking that. I know that I can't be the only person who sees that and feels that. So I don't know the answer. Obviously, it's an emotional thing for me, and it's super difficult for me to share that with you and to be open and to be vulnerable and to be real. I don't have the answers. I don't. And regardless of if anybody comes and you know, to build with us in June, somebody is getting a house because we're building it anyways. It might just be me and, you know, some of the YWAMers here. I don't know. Some of my fellow missionaries. Maybe I'll get some local kids to help me build it. I don't know. But somebody will receive a house. I'm hoping and praying that some of my friends and family will see it as important enough to make a sacrifice to come, to show me what I mean to them for this time. I would hate to be the person who has to plan their own birthday party and nobody shows up. That's really sad to me. And that's what I feel like right now. I feel like I'm planning my own birthday party and no one is coming. And that saddens me. So I'm sorry that this is extremely emotional, and I'm sorry that this might be very hard for you to hear, and it might be too real and it might be too raw. But this is me, and I don't cry cute. I just don't. I'm an ugly crier. I get all congested and all stepped up, and it's nasty, but this is me, right? And it's time to share our struggles. It's time to stop being perfect. It's time to be real. And I don't know if you struggle with this, or if you have struggled with this kind of thing before, please let me know. What can I do? What should I do besides giving it to God? Because I do that every day. I do that all the time. And most of the time, I'm not like this, right? Like, I am able to see the beauty in everything, and to see the good, and to see and feel the love of people and of God. But sometimes it's hard. And that's where I'm at today. So this is a lot longer than I was hoping it would be, but this is me. So I love you guys. I really do love you guys. And again, I'm not trying to guilt trip people. I'm not trying to pressure people or any of that stuff. Really, it's just I need to be real and I need to be vulnerable with people. And this is me doing that. So if you can just pray for me, if you can, just partner with me in prayer. I need it. I need it. So I love you guys. God bless. And let me know how I can be praying for you. Yeah. I don't like being selfish. I don't want to be selfish, but I do sometimes. So yeah, how can I pray for you? I love you guys. Bye.